It is the final Mando Monday of 2020, and we'll be talking BlackSeries helmets, among other things, with our buddy Pete Fletzer. Josh, you may fire when ready.
It used to be better when we got to dance in to our intro.
And we could feed off each other's energy.
I want that back. It'd
be nice to be in the same room again. Welcome to the Holo Chronicles podcast. I am your host, Andy. This is my buddy Josh right over here.
Hi, Andy.
Other side.
I went the wrong damn direction.
Can we high five?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a terrible. Like a couple of white guys, we just high-fived across the coronasphere. Welcome to the Holo Chronicles. Oh my gosh. I can't even talk. We have so much to talk about. We have a guest host. Andy, who do we have? Should we bring him in right away?
We have Beyond the Blast Doors Network. By the way, you can find us at beyondtheblastdoors.com. where you'll find things like an article like we put out today, hashtag show me your collection, from our buddy JD Sleesman, who is in the chat right now. So
JD Sleesman.
Go check out that article and photo gallery of all of JD's BlackSeries wonderfulness, among other things. It's very cool. And that's at beyondtheblastdoors.com. You can find us on Twitter at Holo Chronicles. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook as well under the same handle. Josh.
I don't care where you find us. Just hit like and subscribe and share and join us in the chat and have some fun tonight. The chat has been blowing up before we even got on, so I'm pretty excited to get there.
It's pretty awesome.
But before we get there, what do we have to do, Andy? We have to bring in our guest.
Mr. Pete Fletzer.
Mr. Pete Fletzer. He needs no introduction. Boom, there he is. Woo!
Thank you.
Welcome, Pete.
Feeling the love, guys. How you doing? How's it going?
Cheers with beers. Andy's got his
Snapple,
Game of Thrones Snapple. I've got legitimate beer, and Pete, I imagine you have straight neat whiskey.
I have illegitimate beer in my cup. How's it going, boys?
It's going great. It's so good to have you on the final Mando Monday. I feel like we've been together for days already, Pete, and that's all of us. But we knew we wanted to have you on one of these Mando Mondays, and so here you are. You get to help close us out. It's been an up and down experience with the Mando Mondays for the last 8 weeks now. This is week number 8, right? So
it's actually number 9, because
they
front loaded a Mando Monday before the first episode of season 2. And then we just had episode 8, and they're throwing one in at the end of it. So they bookended Mando Mondays with the season, which was probably a wise thing to do. Do you think they'll do this again next year?
I was just going to ask you guys, we all have marketing minds, we've got collectors' minds, we got that sort of mindset. But do you think they're going to do them again? I don't know if they've been as successful as they might have wanted them to be. What do you guys think?
I think that's what we need to explore tonight, and I think that's a good question, Pete, for us to kind of dive down a little bit later, and maybe even a closing question of like, how did the Mando Mondays go off? I mean, it was obviously a risk or an
undertaking,
a parlay from kind of like, let's just throw out a bunch of stuff, to kind of some regimented, dish it out on a kind of a restricted basis as far as what we got each week. And I think we should talk about how we feel about that. I won't go into it right now, but before we go into anything, I think we need to shout out some of the people in the chat. We've got some of our very favorite people there. We've got Sam Carey, Gillenorian Saber, Mark Shabby Geek is here, man. That guy never sleeps. The geek never sleeps. JD Sleesman's in the house. Alex Klump, Matt from Michael is here. Woo, Michael's here. You help me out. Melvin Sinclair Bean, Gilster,
Framey.
Yeah, Framey. Just just a galactic curator. I mean, we're
Melvin
actually getting
Sinclair Bean.
high quality names are coming through. We've got KB 1630005 in here. I don't know if I had enough KBs. He's right there. Yay! Subscribe for Scotty. That's what we're subscribing for. Look at that guy. I wasn't just making that name up.
It's like it's probably short for like KB Toys.
It probably is. But here we are. We've got a bunch of people playing along with us, and we love that. And we will bring up your comments as often as we don't want to hear ourselves talk. So there you go. Right? Which we'll never
you make
bring
a good
comments up.
You make a good comment. You make a good point. We'll throw it up there. All right.
All right. Yeah, all right. So are we going to dive right in this time, boys? Or we get another Andy, you're in charge here. What are we doing?
I think we go right in because I do feel like this Mando Monday kind of ended on a little upswing, a little uptick. Like you said, it started out great and then kind of was hit and miss from our perspective.
Just from our perspective, and look, that's just and again from our perspective, we're only giving you our top 3 from this Mando Monday. And Andy, are we going to talk maybe about what our top Mando Monday toys were since we're here at the finale? I mean, Pete, I think you can get thinking.
I think if we pull like one thing, that would be great.
That's acceptable. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Definitely.
Thank God.
So Josh, let's hit the Mando Monday recap here.
Let's do this.
Mando Monday Mania.
Right. We are diving right into Mando Monday
stinger,
Mania.
By the way, is the reason I agreed to come on the show this week.
What's that?
That stinger is the reason I'm here. I love that. I love it. Reminds me,
Mando Monday Mania.
Monday.
Well, I'm glad that you caught the reference, Pete. Let's just dive right in out of the gate. Like I said, we've only got 3. I mean, there were more than 3. There were a lot of shirts. There were a lot of buttons. There were a lot of paraphernalia for the Mandalorian, and as well, there should be Andy, something we might need to talk about, Pete. Like, are we going to get even though this is the official last Mando Monday? The finale of The Mandalorian may have provided us with another collectible avenue that's going to put us into an amazing spot. I don't have all the images for that, but we can definitely talk about it. Before we do, let's just dive into what Mando Monday gave us today. What is this? The 21st of December. We're rolling right up on Christmas. It's a perfect time to pre-order and put a little pre-order receipt under the tree for that loved one.
An IOU.
Nothing says Merry Christmas like this will show up in August.
Nothing says that. No, people love it when you tell them that their present's 8 months out. But yeah, so the first one, here it goes. Blammo. I mean, okay, so we all saw the Hasbro toy version. As a matter of fact, it's cramming a few shelves depending on what store you go to. It wasn't a popular seller so far. Nothing that people have to hunt around for if they want to find that toy dark saber. But this is a different animal. This is a Force Effects.
This
Black Series. I mean, here it is.
Yeah, and it's going to come with a hilt display that with and without the saber attached. You can remove it if you like. And these are definitely more of a higher quality. You're not gonna find these like right now at Target. You can find the more kid-friendly version, like you were talking about. But these are a little more highly produced in that more attention to detail. There's some weight to them. Josh, you and I have had FX sabers before, and they're
still
weighty. You still do. Yeah. They're weighty. They're well made. They have a nice hum to them when you crack them on, turn them on. And the
price is right, Andy. Right, the price is right. What's the price on one of these bad boys?
Oh, these are usually around $200.
Yep, 150 to 200, depending on where you buy them.
And and I've even seen them up around 250. I want to say the Ahsoka saber might have been a little higher than your average FX saber. I can't remember off the top of my head, but these are well made. These are great. These go just as nicely in your hand as they do hanging on a wall or on a shelf. So I know that if you're into cosplaying a little bit, these are a great place to go.
Well, especially from a hilt perspective, you wouldn't mind hanging one of these off your belt. Pete, what do you think of these guys here?
Yeah, this one and the Emperor Palpatine one both have the removable blade and the stand that comes with it. And I have on my wall here, I have a Vader Force Effects, an older one, and a Kylo Ren. And I might have to add this. I think there's just something really neat about the way it looks, that detail when you see that hilt there that's on that particular picture, and the way it looks like, especially because sort of the backstory, or at least the way Gideon used it, it's to display it is to display power. So it's got kind of a little bit more sort of oomph as a collector. So I'm really interested in getting it more so than the Palpatine saber, for example. Even though the Palpatine saber looked really cool. But this one looks like you could actually hurt somebody with it if you're not careful.
So I don't disagree, Pete. I mean, this for me, look, I've got several of these sabers, maybe 5, I think is what I've got. So and here's my only holdup as a collector is that they do take up room. At least when they're affixed to the saber, you've really got to commit to it. You got to hang them on your wall. You got to hang them, and they give you some options, like even the hilt holders, which will perfectly balance a full saber, ignited saber, we'll say. You kind of have to commit to, like, where can I hang this up?
Yeah.
And so I think there's a good setting in a lot of people's collections where you can take a wall and stretch some sabers across them. This one, however, because of how unique this hilt is, really cool. This is a very cool hilt.
Well, and what's really cool about it, and I'm glad you brought it up, Josh, is that the animated version of it is very prism-liked, right? It's very it's a little simpler than what we see here, and this looks like a great version of an animated item, or the animated version of this item, I would say. And I can't help but think, also, by the way, JD, who we featured in our collection, he has part of it, one wall with a bunch of sabers hanging from it, like you were just talking about. Another reason to go check it out on beyondtheblastdoors.com. But this, I feel like a lot of the allure to this is that it is unique in legend, right? It's the only black saber. It's the it's only kind of
the blade looking saber. It looks like a blade,
and it there's an air to it that whoever possesses this has power, like you said, right. and because of that, there's always going to be a want or need or desire to have it, and now we can, right? So that's what I think kind of pulls at us a little bit too. If you're tempted to get this, it's because, like, hey, if I have this, I can rule Mandalore. I'm not like really, but you know what I mean? Like there's some legend behind it.
Yeah, you were just saying too, Josh, about needing so much space to be able to display these things, and that was what I was interested in with the Palpatine saber, because the blade does come off, and it does come with a nice stand, and so that's the nice thing about the dark saber is, like, I can put it right up there on the wall, and I don't need to have the blade on. Of course, in this case, the dark saber just looks so much cooler with the blade, but it's a cool looking hilt.
Let's look at and Pete, totally agree. That's exactly it. And I think this kind of goes into that. Galactic Curator has a great comment, and it's one that I've struggled with the BlackSeries Force Effects sabers in general. And part of it, and he said, one thing I wish they would do with the BlackSeries sabers, let you ignite them remotely from your phone. And I'll take that another step. I wish you had a little more control over them.
Yeah.
One thing, put a power source on it, meaning something you can plug into the wall that will maintain the saber being on, without having to have batteries. We know that batteries, if left dormant in any toy, will ruin them eventually. If things go wrong. And then second, that has to go right along with it. Let it control whether or not you want force noises or saber noises to go with it. The only reason these things aren't on my wall, and I'd pay for the batteries glowing all the damn time, is because they go. I mean, they sit there.
Right.
They
hum.
They grumble the whole time.
Well,
and it's such a beautiful display when ignited. and such not so beautiful a display when just sitting there with those white opaque, sabers. It's not attractive. So I'm more attracted to the fact that you can remove the saber. But I think, like we had there, on the screen, there needs to be some. Continue to improve on how great these things look, which they do look awesome for the price point awesome. Between 150 and $200. You're getting a very cool saber. If you're going to get a authentic looking hilt, you're going to pay more than that. So why not just give us a couple simple, very simple options, which are plug in power and turn off the sound, and then you can have this display that when you walk into the room, your room of toys, your room of collectibles, you've got a very cool display up there that is worth keeping on all the time. So that's my point.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the sabers on the wall behind me, and I wanted to keep them turned on when I'm sitting in front of a camera here. They look much better, but Jesus, they are so loud. I don't care how good your microphone is, it's not going to cut that noise out.
No, it's not.
All right. So did either of you pre-order this today?
I didn't. I did not. But
there's still time.
I know there is. And on one of these items, when the price point's where it's at, you don't have to pre-order as quickly sometimes, but we'll see. I don't know that I want it, but I do know that it's very cool. It's one of those things I might enjoy in somebody else's collection. All right.
Okay.
Should we
move
next? On?
Yep. What's next?
I've got a goofy one here. Not a goofy one. What am I talking about? I've got a good one here that but it's kind of again, it might be being overshadowed by another one of its like, but I'll throw it up and let's see how we feel. There it is. Captain Cardinal. He gets his own helmet. So how do we feel about this? We've already been on record of saying we really like the BlackSeries helmets in general. Yep. But this is a paint job on a helmet you may already own. Andy, tell me your thoughts.
Here's my honest thought. I don't really like the First Order helmets that much, and the fact that it's red doesn't change anything for me.
Okay.
Yep, I'm with you. I mean, as you guys know, I'm a big fan of the BlackSeries helmets, and this one, I have very little interest in this one at all. I would like to see a white version, a traditional clone trooper or a stormtrooper.
Don't we have that? Didn't BlackSeries give us one of those?
Not yet. No.
Oh.
Not yet. Anovos, what's that other company? The
yeah. You said
did I say it right? They have one. But it's, as you know, it's like 3 times as much as a BlackSeries would be. So I would get this if it was BlackSeries in white. I have no interest in Captain Cardinal. I have no interest in a red version of this. This is one of the very few BlackSeries helmets that I will pass on. Of course, without a doubt, probably in about 8 months, you'll see it sitting on my display behind me. But at this moment, I have no interest in pre-ordering it. Let me put it that way.
I mean, so let's take this a step down the road from the collecting standpoint. So here, this would be in different times something you might find at any GameStop on their shelf whenever you walked in. We've seen these helmets, and by the way, all those helmets are gone for the most part because Star Wars, I think, from a merchandise perspective, has picked up a little bit of a momentum. So
Star Wars isn't dead.
Yeah. Star Wars is not dead, and their merchandise isn't either. There's still certain things that are not going to sell as well. So you saw a few helmets. I remember seeing a few helmets when I went into GameStop's just one that happens to come to mind. It's not the place that people go to shop for collectibles. They go to shop there for video games, right? But they have they have exclusives on Funkos and exclusives on different items. So they definitely have an avenue for some cool collectibles, and that's even beyond the Star Wars universe when it comes to toys. So, but this one, I'm kind of with you, but it almost made me think by listening to both of you of like, why wouldn't I pick that up then? Because then I would have something you guys didn't. No, because then, I don't appreciate the duck face stormtrooper look as much as I do the original, but I think that if you were to say, we're going to take this and create a new stormtrooper look, it was they did a good job. It's a fine enough design. And
well, there's people in the chat that love it. So there's a market for it.
JD says it never was dead, just dead to pretend fans. Yes, it was dead to people without mental conditions. I get it, but for the rest of us, we were always seeking, buying, and claiming things, right?
All right, Josh. Let's get to the next one.
Let's get out of that one. So anyway, but again, this could be a good collector point. This could be one of those red herrings, so to speak, where you go buy it now, or you don't buy it now. You wait, you're going to find it on clearance, and it's going to be one of those helmets that somebody wishes they had in their collection, because now they've got a complete collection of helmets, and they were not happy with the Cardinal when it came out. But right. That being said, we have a different helmet to talk about, and don't
completists are a different breed.
They are. They are. And they're not always the same every day. Sometimes they become completists one day and walk away the next.
Next thing you know, you're looking for 1 or 2 BlackSeries numbers to fit your shelf.
Damn it. Oh, dude.
All right, what's next?
Here it is. Our next helmet, our last BlackSeries.
Yeah. Pre-order.
Oh, how quickly we change.
Pre-ordered.
Just a couple eye slits in the different places, and now you want this helmet. So here is the BlackSeries. They called this Elite. So is that a difference, or is that just kind of them really? I don't know if they've always called their helmets Elite, but this is an Elite BlackSeries Boba Fett. Looks like new paint job.
Fresh
paint job. Well, kind of fresh. We still have some scoring on the red.
I think he painted it while he was in Slave One, and it was moving a little bit.
Right.
He didn't quite get to all the edges, but
the gyro jumped at the wrong time when trying to keep him upright. Is that what we're talking about?
I like to think it's the he put tape on it to get a nice clean line, but the paint wasn't dry yet.
Yeah, that's exactly what kind of tape job I'll do with some blue masking tape. Is I'll screw it all up. I'll be like, oh yeah, the trim's completely covered. I'm fine. All right, babe, paint away, and then peel it off. And like, gosh darn it, and then So we've seen all the great memes which show Slave One stopping by Sherwin-Williams on his way to the next planet.
Right. But here's the deal, Josh. I fully expect this to be just a remake, or just a slap of paint job on the old Boba Fett helmet that BlackSeries did, a year ago, and or within this last year. And the insides are the same, the scope the same, everything the same, just a little bit different paint scheme. And I am fine with it. I am totally fine with it, because this version of the helmet, the Tamura Morrison version of this helmet, kicks ass. And that's what I think of when I see it. So
you're going to own this helmet, because that's kind of the collector question I wanted to ask.
Yes.
I mean, we've got a Boba Fett. I know Pete has a Boba Fett helmet. You've got multiple styles. You got an EFX, or is it an EFX?
Yep, an EFX Boba helmet.
EFX signed with all the signatures of every Boba that ever lived, except for the ones that played
except for Tamura
and his stunt double. Right. Shut it.
Yeah,
I know. Sorry to make that list longer. But you're saying you would own this helmet.
I'm going to own this helmet. Pete, how about you?
Yeah, my very first thought was, well, I've got the prototype Boba. I've got the other Boba. I've got a Mandalorian helmet on pre-order. Do I really need it? And then it was like, yeah, I definitely will. I'm going to be getting it. I'll be getting it. And because, you know why? This is one of those collectibles that and it hasn't happened honestly in a long time, but it's the feeling that was evoked when I saw it for the first time, when he walks down and he's fresh painted, and I was like, Boba's back and he's better than ever. And so I just want that. And I actually like the fact that it's not like super clean, but it's cleaner and it's different enough. It's one of those things that I know that when my wife sees it on the wall, she's gonna be like, but you already
have one of those?
No, I don't, madam. No, I do not. Allow me to show you the differences through voice acting.
For shame.
Yes. Right. No, we've got you there, Pete, for sure.
Might be the last voice you hear.
You'll be talking through a window in a Bacta tank. But I do. There's a little. It's very hard to read. I can read it because my screen's a little bigger, but it says digitally rendered image product may vary. I think that some of the distress we see in the red will go away. I didn't feel that when that's my only complaint. It's like, look, I already have a distressed Boba helmet, right? I want this to be that clean. I don't even like the mud or the dirt that's coming down off the
fingers, the glove smudges.
No, I don't. No, I want that fresh Sherwin Williams painted helmet that Boba presented in whatever episode that was. What chapter can we call that? 13?
14?
13, 14? All right. 14. Yeah, so I that's what I kind of want. So I'm kind of hoping that this is somebody's interpretation of what somebody told them to do based on the series is like make a Boba helmet, and they're like, well, Boba helmets are always distressed, and it's like, no, we just got a repainted version. So
well, you guys know that Boba Fett is my love language, so I would take this version. I would take the Cobb Vanth version. I know give me all the Mandalorian helmets. I want a Bo-Katan helmet. As soon as they crank that sucker out, I'm ordering that one. I haven't ordered a Mandalorian helmet because I know Josh did, and I'm going to enjoy it in his collection. So
that's interesting, huh?
I'm interested. I find it interesting for myself too.
Well, we have actually a couple options there. We're gonna go through that later on. We did a preview of the of the Mandalorian BlackSeries helmet, and there were a lot of takers on that. There's a lot of people going for that.
A lot of opinions
tough to pre-order. A lot of opinions too. So
I ordered it.
Yeah, and we're gonna take look. We had some people correspond with us based on the quality of an EFX versus that, because later on the next week we talked about that. So will there be an EFX? What do we call them? Old Boba, new Boba, old new Boba helmet.
Book of Boba.
Book of Boba. There you go. That just I can't even go down that track.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, I know. All right. So before we move on, we got one. We have one more, but before we move on, we do want to again recognize all of you in the chat. Just joining. Thank you so much. We're trying to throw them up as we get there. You guys have your own little show that happens in the chat, which I love watching. But thank you so much. Make sure you follow us at Holochronicles on Twitter and Beyond the Blast Doors on YouTube. If you want to see our videos, like and subscribe. Just hit like right now, or subscribe, or share, or something. You never know if your great aunt Vivian will jump on and watch a Holochronicles show and give us a like or two. She knows her stuff. Don't worry about
it. And Josh, if they want to support us in another way.
Oh, well, if you're not a fatty, or if you are a fatty, you know how much a cheeseburger. And I'm a resident fatty. If for the price of a cheeseburger, you can hop on to Patreon per month, $5, just $5, and support the cause. It keeps shows like Around the Galaxy. That's Pete.
It's a great show.
Pete, that's a great show, by the way. Around the Galaxy with Pete. We've got the Bombad cast. We've got Beyond the Blast Doors Live, which every week it's your live show to get all the latest stuff on Star Wars. And then, of course, the Holochronicles. We've got articles going up. We've got Shannon, who does all kinds of amazing things. You never know when you're going to get hit by an awesome documentary from a point of view you never really thought of from, which I love about those. So, anyway, who'd I miss? Arzu's articles. I talked about those. I mean, we're all. My mic got muted. Yay! Andy, tell me about this.
All right. So this was leaked on Reddit. It's not actually on the website.
Hold on, Andy. Your mic got muted.
No, I did. It's not muted.
All right. So what we're looking at here is a transport trooper. Here's what I like about this. I don't know much, but I do know that we had a conversation about how you could make your own cosplay from this trooper. Pete, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, Pete can hear me, but he can't talk either. All right, Andy.
I can hear mine.
I guess everyone else can hear me. I hope you can hear me.
Can you hear me?
Boys. Join me, boys. All right.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
We've got issues here in the chat. That's okay. We'll figure them out. I'm going to go big screen. Nobody can hear me.
I can hear you.
Man,
Yeah,
how about
I
the
can
chat?
hear you.
They're all commenting.
We got you.
Cool. So anyway, I'm going to go back to it until we can find out.
Pete, can you hear me?
Look at him just yelling
I can hear
in the
you.
corner right now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Pete.
Okay. So anyway, Transport Trooper. It looks like. Are we talking? Looks like a hot toy here, possibly.
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
But
this is.
It should.
Can
be
you hear me,
cool. I
Josh?
thought this was one of my favorite parts of the Mandalorian when he had to remove his armor and become a normal citizen and fight on top of wherever the heck he was fighting. Or that transport, the Juggernaut.
Josh,
so to speak.
Juggernaut 5.
All right.
Are you there?
Josh.
I've lost everyone.
No, you haven't. We're ready.
No.
Pete's trying to talk. Andy's shaking his head. Yeah, he can still hear me. All right.
All right.
Well, boys.
Josh.
I don't know.
Josh.
All right.
I just muted Josh.
Okay.
This was leaked on Reddit. It's not on the actual website yet. But more pictures to come. More pictures to come here, and for those that were a fan of the Bill Burr episode in Mandalorian, with the helmet on, it can be anybody underneath. It could be Mayfeld, it could be Din, it could be just a trooper. So
yeah, what's cool about it to me is somebody pointed out on Twitter that it's a very similar armor to what was worn by Solo in Solo, with a different helmet, of course, and that's pretty cool. And so plus then you got the Rogue One helmet from the tank drivers.
Yeah, and it's even reminiscent of the vintage AT-AT Commander armor. So they're pulling from Rogue One and from vintage and Empire Strikes Back kind of molds of different armors there. So they swapped the body armor with a helmet and mashed them together.
It's very cool. A very Star Wars thing to do, a very classic Star Wars thing to do.
Yeah. You want to try and bring Josh back in here?
I'm back.
Do you hear me?
Can everyone hear me? Golly.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was like a sunspot or something. I don't know what happened. You guys could hear me the whole time, but I couldn't hear you
the whole time. Yeah.
My
weird.
bad.
Josh, what'd you think about that that new potential sneak peek to a hot toy there, Mr. Hot Toy?
I'm totally fine with it and 100% fine with it because I got super intrigued, like I was trying to say when I was doing like full cover for no reason, since everyone could hear you. I'm very intrigued by this particular trooper. I think it looks super cool. I love that it was donned by Din. That's actually one of the hottest places down on Main Street where you can buy clothing. Donned by Din.
You sound like the Saturday Night Live.
Donned by
Stefan.
Din. It's the greatest place. Are you looking to shoot up troopers? No. Sorry.
This place has everything.
This place has everything: lasers, juggernauts, exploding trucks,
and pirates.
And pirates galore.
From the side.
Oh man, come on.
Hey,
so anyway.
Framey's got a good point here. It says hot toys will probably come with multiple heads with the character for options there. I love that idea. I hope they do.
Well,
I
that's
hope you're in charge.
That's what they do.
I want a BlackSeries though. I want a BlackSeries instead of a hot toy.
Okay.
Hot toys are too expensive.
You know what though? I imagine that we'll get a Black Series of the fresh painted Boba. We'll get a Black Series of this trooper, whether it be Din or Mayfeld or just a driver, a Juggernaut driver. But I'm sure we'll get it down the road here.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I would buy this hot toy, but I would buy this hot toy if I had every hot toy that was on my list. But I'll say it again. I do like that Din was a part of this figure. Otherwise, I wouldn't be as interested. So this I was trying to say it while you guys were talking into nowhere. You guys were just mouthing things, apparently. I liked this part of the series. I liked Din showing off that he was a badass without Mandalorian armor, which I thought was an important take. And it still supported his covering of his face, and now we know that was something he'll change later if he wants. So I think it's a cool toy. The only issue I have is that if it's a hot toy, that means I won't see it until 2022. You know, right? Feels like, or what's the release date? It's probably mid of 21. But yeah, all right, okay.
When we get more news, we'll pass it along.
Appreciate it. So there we go. We've got our Mando Monday top 3. I know there was more out there. If you're looking for T-shirts, sweatshirts, and pops, no, not pop sockets, not even pops, pop sockets. Make sure you go to StarWars.com and click on Mando Mondays. All right, Andy, take us away, man. What's our next topic?
Well, I want to ask you guys first because I have a little story to share. But have you guys gotten anything in the last week or recently that you want to share?
I've got 3 boxes upstairs. If Pete has something, I will pretend that you guys are mouthing again and just leave and then go get them. But Pete, what do you got? Did you get anything fun?
The only thing I've gotten is I picked up an Armorer BlackSeries finally. My buddy Anubis, who hangs out with us sometimes, I don't know if he's with us tonight or not, but he's sort of my local connection, and whenever he gets stuff in, he sort of puts me to the front of the line. I'm probably not supposed to tell people that, but so I picked that up today. But it's it's been a little bit kind of slow. It seems like everything I want is not coming out until 2021. I'm just pre-ordering a whole bunch. The good news is 2021 is going to be full of those wonderful surprise boxes that show up on your front porch. And you're like, oh, that's right. I ordered a Mandalorian helmet 8 months ago, and here
Pete, does it feel like maybe like this time of year you shouldn't have boxes showing up at your front door that are just for you, ordered by you?
This is true. This is true. But I do
raise your hand. Raise your hand if a box showed up at your front door and you just handed it to your wife. You're like, just wrap that up, please. Wrap that up. Just wrap it up.
It's a great time of year to not get questioned, not to get the, let me guess, it's another pop. No, I haven't heard that since November. So
here goes Andy. He's giving us WAMPAview, which is always good. WAMPAvision is great. And look at those boxes down there.
Those are going out. Those aren't coming in. So there's the rug.
WAMPAvision. Love it, Pete. That was a good one. Oh man.
A little peek behind the curtain there.
Oh, a little peek behind the rug.
Well, recently I went down to Portland to purchase something from a guy I met on eBay, of all places. And we arranged a little meetup down at a vintage toy shop that we were both familiar with, which was pretty close to his house. And he started off by saying, thank you for driving all the way down there. It was about an hour drive for me. And he said, I'm an artist and I appreciate you driving down here, and I wanted to give you this. And so this is not something I was expecting to get, and I am thrilled that I got it. So he made this, he drew this,
that's so
and
cool.
Made me a copy of it. Trying to get it so you can't see with the light there. And I mean, he just had to have made this recently.
Yeah.
He showed me the original on a canvas, and then he gave me a digital print of it. So I want to give a shout out to Jorge, my guy who I just met down in Portland this last week. And it's so cool. So I immediately put it in a frame, and I'm going to hang this up this week in my room. So thank you for that, Jorge. I appreciate it very much. This leads to something that we say here quite a bit as collectors. When somebody is selling something, you should always follow up with, do you have anything else? Okay. Because I came away from this little meetup more excited about do you have anything else than what I was actually going to purchase from him in the first place. So a great collector tip, anytime you're out finding things in the wild, is to follow up with whatever the conversation is with, do you have anything else? Do you have any other Star Wars stuff? Do you have anything else for sale? Because that's where you can kind of peel back some layers and get to some other things unexpected. All right. Yeah. And so from this initial meetup, I grabbed a couple things for Josh, and I grabbed something for me on top of what I was already going to get. And he gave me that digital print of that very good drawing that he made.
I had a real world experience with that when I went. I picked up. I saw on Facebook Marketplace somebody was selling like 35 Phantom Menace figures, still in the box, still in perfect condition, like they stole them from the back of the truck. They were in great shape for $95. So of course I went. I met her there and I got them. And just like you, without knowing the collector tip, but I can vouch for it. I said, yeah, any chance to get anything else? She's like, well, I got this Darth Maul, and it was one of the super figures. It was the about
Force Unleashed.
Yeah. No, it was
12-inch.
It was a 12-inch. He's in a cool pose. I actually now in my son's room. He stole it from me, but she's like, I don't know what's it worth. $10? I was like, sure, I'll give you $10 for it. And got home, found it's like $60 on eBay. But yeah, it was just that.
Probably gave it to your son. All right.
Yeah. So it's a good deal. But just like you said, Andy, you just got to ask, because chances are, whatever they put on Marketplace is not the only thing they have sitting around the house.
Nope.
Yeah. So on Josh, do you by chance happen to have the things that I grabbed for you?
I don't. Okay. But
all right. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about them some other time. But
yeah.
But the thing, so this was actually hilarious because he brought a few things, and I didn't buy everything from him, but he did bring this item, and he said, now I have 2 of these, and this is the one that's in better shape. And I thought, maybe, and I'm, he's selling some things to reinvest in other areas. So he wanted to, get some cash. So he's selling a few things. As a side note, he's a big original trilogy fan. But he's only keeping his Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back toys because he thought Return of the Jedi was a little campy, and wasn't a huge fan of the Ewoks, and so he's selling all of his Return of the Jedi stuff, which is I've never heard somebody say that. I'm only keeping my Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back stuff, but I'm going to sell my Return of the Jedi because I thought it was kind of a cheesy movie. And I love that, by the way, because everybody's different.
Each their own.
Exactly. And so he showed me this, and I was like, wow, this is great. How much do you want for it? He throws a number out, and I was like, okay, I'll take it. And he's like, really? and I said, well, only if you want to sell it to me. And I was holding it in my hand, right? And I was holding it in my hand. I was holding it in my hands, and I told him I wanted to buy it. I told him I'd buy it. And then he was like, really? And he kind of stuttered because I don't think he thought I was going to buy it. Right. And I know the price of these things, and it was eBay high, maybe on the high side a little bit, but it's so cool. I want it. And he wasn't ready to let it go. And so I said, only if you want to sell it to me. And he's like, well, now I don't know. And I was like, hey, it's okay, man. I understand. This thing's really cool, and they don't come up very often. So if you want to keep it, go ahead. And he's like, and I said, and if you change your mind later, just let me know, and I'll come back down and I'll get it because I really like it. And I'll tell you exactly where it's going to go on my shelf. It's going to go in between, R2 and this Vader. And he's like, oh,
all right. What is it?
It was just the weirdest exchange. We went into the toy shop, and
I can't handle it.
Like 10 minutes later, he was like, okay, I'll sell it. I'm really sorry about that. That's not cool of me as a seller to do that. And I was like, dude, I get it. You're attached to it. It's fine. So here's what it is.
You did the reverse car salesman on him.
Yeah,
I know.
Why don't you go home and think about it?
Yeah, just let me know. Get back to me. Yeah, and so this is what I bought.
Whoa!
So it's
clean,
super clean. It's an Empire Strikes Back vintage Darth Vader on the card. Perfectly
Look at that card.
Bubble. The card is perfect. The
That's
bubble
amazing.
is perfect, and it's got this sticker on it for a free secret Star Wars action figure with 4 proofs of purchase. Now, that's unique because the Star Wars cards did have different stickers that could come on them. There was like a free Forlom that you could send away for. Star Wars ones had a Boba Fett that you could send away for. Admiral Akbar, Dengar. There was a weapons kit, a Hoth weapons kit that you could get. But because of it has a different bottom. This sticker gives you this bottom, so it's a little bit more unique, not a lot, but a little bit more unique than just your typical card back because of the sticker on it. But again, it's primo.
You're gonna cut off the proof of purchase and send it in to get that.
Yes, along with 4 others that I've cut off.
Yes, yeah, just cut it. No, let's get that mystery toy.
Well, the bummer thing is that the proof of purchase is right behind the figure, so I'd have to cut. I have to cut behind the figure if I was actually going to do that.
Now nobody will believe you purchased it.
But it's a 21 back, which is also important because that means it was the first of the Empire Strikes Back line to be sold, because the first 20 were Star Wars. Boba Fett was 21, and so that has the very first, like the 77, 78 figures on it, and this was the first of the Empire Strikes Back. So there's your little history lesson on it.
Wow, that's really cool.
Well, now I feel like I have to go get mine. I got the wrong things. Nah, I'm just doing mine. I'll let you have the vintage flex, you bastard.
Well, you can go get it. I got another story I could tell.
I'm sure you do.
But that's more about we finally sold our complete vintage.
Yeah, we haven't told the story here. We told it on Blue Harvest with the Pala Boys.
Yeah,
you did. You did,
and not even the full story, but just kind of shared that whole thing. If you guys remember, this summer, Josh and I went in and we bought a complete loose figure set of vintage Star Wars figures. Yep. Now there were like 6 that didn't have their accessories, but there was 115 total figures. Josh kept one, I kept one, and then we sold the rest.
It's you and Andy, Pete. I'll be right back.
All right,
okay.
Now.
So we paid up for it because it wasn't just the loose figure lot; it was also 43 card backs,
just the backs. Or were they on?
No, they were all their figures on the card. Okay, Mox, mint on card. And they were in great shape too. And Josh kept about 16 of his. Mm-hmm. We split them. We bought them with the intent of selling the loose figures and just keeping the card backs, the carded figures. And so we split. In fact, on the what was the benefit day, the all network thing.
Yeah. The Podathon. Yep.
Podathon. Yes. Thank you. I couldn't remember that. On the Podathon, one of our episodes, because we did 2 that day, we talked about the haul and we drafted which card backs that we wanted to keep. And so from that, I kept about 5 of my 22, 21, and Josh kept about 16 of his 22. And the hope was that we could sell the loose lot for what we paid for the entire thing, and then just keep the card backs as a freebie, as a throw-in. And what ended up happening was, again, I met a guy through eBay. He asked a question, and he lives in Spokane, Washington, which is 7 hours away from us. We're kind of in opposite corners of the state. But he said, hey, if I drive over, will you save me the shipping? And I was like, if you drive over, I'll take $600 off. And so he's like, all right, I'll be over next weekend. And so he drove 7 hours one way to come buy these from me and Josh. Josh couldn't be there. He was out of town that evening. But his name's Todd. He's 50 years old. He was a delight of a man. And turns out he has a warehouse full of vintage toys, not just Star Wars, but everything that you could possibly imagine. And it was so cool talking to him. And he was like, "Hey, do you watch The Mandalorian?" I was like, "Of course." And he's like,
right.
"That is real Star Wars right there, man. I love it." And it was just so great to just talk with him for a half an hour in the Target parking lot right off the highway, you know? And so he was thrilled about what he was getting from us. Josh and I were thrilled that we got our money back for what we spent. And then we got to keep some card backs too. So it was like a full 360. Perfect. Everybody wins. Everybody was happy. Oh, it was so great. It was so great.
It was a good turnaround.
And Josh is back now, so my story can end.
Did you make the point? Did you make the point that of patience? It was just patience, a little bit of patience, because we had some issues. We struggled a little bit when we first got that lot, and we knew that what we were going to do was maybe take one or two of those pieces out, upgrade our pieces, but we didn't really do that. There were two. Each of us got one. We have some pretty good pieces. And then we didn't want to degrade the integrity of the collection. So, but it just took patience. We had people saying, "No, I don't know if that's what it's worth," but it's always worth and our price wasn't high. It was spot on for this is what you'd pay if you piecemealed this all together. So anyway,
we bought it in August. We bought it in August. We sold it in December. So it took a few months, but like Josh said, patience was the key, and it worked out, man. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Do you find that most people try to lowball? Is there still this mindset that, or have people started to realize that if you're selling Star Wars toys or vintage toys in general, there's a good chance that you know what you're talking about. Whereas, a couple 10, 15 years ago, you could get somebody who had no idea what this.
Yeah.
This Boba Fett thing, the red thing keeps shooting out of the back of it.
I think it's broke. I'll give it to you for half price.
Or do you find that most of the people you're dealing with are pretty educated?
Well, and Josh, you can answer the question too. But if you sell something at what an appropriate price is, I've found that you're not going to get you might get a little haggle, but and if you are lowballed, you just keep it moving. You don't even respond to them. I mean, if it's ridiculous, what I've found is that more often than not, people don't know what they're selling and they lowball themselves.
Right.
And this has bitten me in the butt a couple times. You try to educate them a little bit about what they have and maybe say like, "Hey, I think you actually got a little more
Captain
here."
Honesty.
And I've learned that you agree to the price first and then tell them what they have. Right. And so then they don't take it away from you and then raise the price $1,000, which has actually happened to me before. And then they raised it so high it was incredibly off. But anyway, Josh, what have you found?
My take on that is like you have eBay. eBay is a good gauge for the, kind of the bound, the boundaries for what the price will be, the low and the high. And maybe you'll get a good deal on eBay. But remember, people on eBay are doing a couple things. They're trying to either cover shipping. If you're getting free shipping, you probably have a $10 to $20 premium in the price because they're just going to pay for their shipping with the price.
If it's a buy it now.
If it's a buy it now. And so you have some convenience with eBay. You have some protection from eBay because you've got whatever avenues you have to contest a purchase where they didn't describe what you bought, etc. So, but it also, eBay is so much harder to kind of find that like, wow, that's a good deal. It's hard because of the tools eBay provides. If you didn't know, you can go on, you can search, you can filter and say, I want to see sold only items of this, and it'll just come up and you can get a real quick average. All right, the average selling price of this particular figure is $75. Done. You had one sell for 100, you had one sell for 50, but really the mean average is $75. So then you can safely go on and say, hey, I'll offer this for $85 plus free shipping, $10 shipping built in. Someone, if you do an offer now, blah, blah, blah. With Offer Up, with the local stuff, they know that by buying from you locally, by making the drive, which in Andy's case could be 7 hours, okay, of a drive.
That's so amazing.
Isn't that amazing? That's like halfway across the country, practically. But anyway,
here's why you did it though, Josh, because the fees the tax he would have had to pay on top of the purchase
and the fees
we would have had to pay.
Right.
A 10%.
No. What are you talking about? 30% if you include shipping and all that. I mean, it's 30%.
No, we were doing free shipping.
But I know. Well, I'm saying from a cost perspective for you, for the seller.
Just in the tax he would have had to pay, it was cheaper for him to rent an economic vehicle, drive over, stay the night in Portland at a hotel, and drive back. It was cheaper to do it that way and still pay what we were basically asking for.
And a hell of an experience. I mean, you get to meet a Lemire. I mean, for God's sakes, that's
we exchanged numbers and now we text all the time.
It's huge.
You might even be watching. I don't know.
All right. Well, there's the haul. Okay. So that's a great finale to what I don't know. We had a goofy video. You guys were there for us. Yes. And the best part is, Andy we kept a bunch of card backs. We sold a few card backs to that fella and beyond, but we got a bunch of card backs. So get into our collection and stay tuned for what we do with those, because we've got some ideas that'll involve you. You get to join us on this quest. The haul is not over. It's just another stepping stone. All right. If you wanted to see what I've got a couple things. I'm going to rip them out real quick, and then I think we would be remiss if we didn't just take like a round robin take of the three of us from a collector's standpoint. We're all collectors here. Pete, you want to play amateur, go for it, but I've seen all the shit you've got, so enough of that. So I think we'd be remiss if we didn't go around and just kind of talk about the future of collecting based on the season finale of The Mandalorian. But here you go. I'm going to do a double step. I'm going to go fast. Not a lot of backstory here. Andy already told it. We met a guy. I got a nice graded Luke.
Ooh, look at that.
Little Hoth Luke action. Very sharp, very sharp. He gets a solid grade. What is that? 75.
75.
Yeah, he gets a 75. And if you really want to see, if my camera will cooperate. It's right up here. There's a little nick on his bandana. His Rambo bandana has a mild nick.
That's where the Wampa got him.
That's where the Wampa got him.
It's all.
And so Andy hit me up for these. He's like, hey, he's got some nice graded figures. Here's a price, and I agreed to them. And again, they were decent. They were right in the eBay range, but a little below. And then I have this fella. This is a baggied Emperor in a case. Now, here's the deal. I love the Pala Boys. I'm going to pitch some crap on Mark, though. Not Shabby. Darth Mark. He's like, I don't... hold on. Here's my best in UK. I don't understand putting them in a case. Putting them in... I don't understand grading a loose figure. I don't know. Is that
that's very cocky.
I believe it. I thought for a moment.
As you grow up on the streets looking for crumbs, is that where you grew up? Like Darth Mark will be out. Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah.
And God bless Robin Hood.
God bless Robin Hood and his ability to interchange the parts to the Ewok wagon.
So Josh. There's a sticker that you can mail away for an Emperor Palpatine. That is what you have. You got the Palpatine in its Kenner baggie. It came in a little cardboard box, and that was inside in the baggie. So that's what you have. That's what's graded, and that's why. And it's a high grade. What, 85? That's pretty high.
That is a grade I didn't point out. It's an 85. Let's see if I can hit it. Oh, it's so hard here. Yeah, you'll see.
And I know you're a Palpatine fan. Looking right over your shoulder, you got that Ian McDiarmid.
He's right there. He signed it for me. He's the only living one back there right now, because now Prowse and Bullock are out, and it's
Neil. Hey, Merry Christmas, Neil.
Hey, Neil. How are you?
Positivity. Hey. Neil's in here. Oh.
Isn't it very early for him?
It is.
Yeah. Very late.
Did Neil have to catch my terrible English accent? Yeah, we already saw Frammy said, don't quit my day job. Oh, I sure won't, mate. Oh, I never had one to begin with.
Shabby says you're on the wrong end of England.
And by that, I think he means, do I need to get more proper? Do I need to change my English up? That's the best. Yeah.
I think the wrong end means Australia. Actually,
I see. Yeah, so. It's terrible. Anyway, so those are the two items, and I will just do one more because they showed up. I know. I know what someone. I'm going to do the biggest of the three, and I'll do the rest later. Actually, I'll give the rest to my wife to wrap. But Mark, since I have a Mark in here, the shabby one. Don't quit my day job. I'm opening the box right now. I even cut it. I cut it in front of all of you. Oh, that's when you use your muscles. Here we go.
We have.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I got.
Ooh.
So make Shabby happy. I wanted this guy when I first saw him, especially as a reformed BlackSeries collector.
Mm-hmm.
Blammo.
Ooh,
it's not a trap. It's not a trap, especially in this box. Oop. Look at that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I hit the wrong button. Sorry.
You did.
That's
Look at him.
Great.
Look at him. He's so handsome.
It's not a trap. Now tell me, do you believe that I have a tan right now? I feel like I have a tan.
He needs a sweater.
We had a tan conversation between the Last Jedi Akbar and the Return of the Jedi Akbar. It appeared he'd maybe been to a tropical planet. He looked a little more tan. He just put on some color.
But see, he looked like a fried calamari.
Well, yes. I was gonna say though, is it with
Shabby already has a damn video about it.
Shellfish, don't they go in reverse? Like if you put them in hot water, they turn brighter, and if they're colder, they're darker. So maybe he was just chilly.
Maybe he went to Hoth.
Well, when you get older, you get colder, right? You wear sweaters more, and you wear your long johns, and yeah, exactly.
Neil, Framey says that I sound more like Neil, and his Into the Country. I don't know your country. Yeah. I mean, come on, how many accents can you have within 300 square miles?
There's like 3 or 4. I mean, there's as many as there are in the States.
We got the largest navy. All right, here we go. Look who else.
Yeah. Very pretty.
Wow.
Oh, look at her. She's gorgeous. So I'm sure Mark already has video about this, but these just showed up in my house, so I'm happy. I'm happy for them. The greens and the boxes are why I went with them. I've got a couple more Entertainment Earth boxes. I'll open those later. But I'm super excited because I feel like diving after the Return of the Jedi stuff, I thought was a good idea, especially given the last episode we saw on The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're going to see a big run on green saber Lukes. Just saying. That's my collector tip for you. If you've got a green saber Luke, if you've got a hot toy Return of the Jedi Luke, I bet the value on that is going up quite a bit too because they don't make those anymore.
You know what I will tell you that I have already seen on eBay? The price of Boba Fett's and Jedi Luke's increasing.
Really?
I've already seen it. You could get a nice Hong Kong Boba Fett with its blaster for $50-$60, right? And that's been the case for a few years, but it's creeping up 70, 75, 80, and people are paying it. So,
Pete, what's the most you've ever paid for a collectible? Just
most I've ever paid for a collectible. That's a good question.
What's your top price tag?
I think it's probably the maybe the Kylo Ren lightsaber. I haven't bought anything really crazy. I haven't gotten anything.
So you have a threshold then. So you're okay with like $200 and below. That's where you go, right?
Yeah, about 250 is about as high as I'll go.
Well, there's a lot of schools of thought on that because you can buy more items if you use that 200 for good. Like if you buy $20 items, right?
Like one $250 item or
five
$50
items or 10 $20 items.
It's funny though because as I told you guys, and I'm trying to back out of the pop thing. I'm trying to sell some of the pops. I'm trying to get it because those were the other side, right? They were too damn easy to pick up for $9-10 a piece, sometimes less depending on where you were, sometimes a little bit more. And when you're standing in line at a store and you go on Amazon and you pay $20 to $30, it doesn't feel bad. And then next thing you know, you've got 150 of them, and you do the math and you wonder what you could have done with
well,
it.
And that's why we talked about how collectible they are. And collectible was, one, they display nicely, they've got built-in stands,
Right.
all that. And 2 and 3, their price is awesome. Like like you said, you walk in with $10, you got a toy. You walk in with 20, you got 2. You walk in on the right day, you might have 3, because they might have a buy 2 get 1 free. So that's why pops are so attractive. Right. But they run their course, right? Yeah. You got to grow up to an adult, type of.
But that's the funny thing now. Like, so I've stopped.
Adult toy,
I'd like
Andy.
to say I'd like to, not adult toys. I'd like to say I've stopped with the pops, but I've kind of focused on just Mandalorian pops now because the damn Black Series, which I know you said you'd never get into, and I said I would never get into, and now
I said I was getting out, and now I'm back.
Yeah, there's something about the Black Series figures that's very attractive. So,
you know what? I think this is actually a great segue here for what Pete you shared with me earlier today about an article you had read. So just for everybody, would you share the premise of that article here with us real quick?
Yeah, it's an article on Polygon, so it's it's not like hard hitting reporting or anything like that. But the headline is Star Wars toys keep changing and leaving kids behind, and it's an interesting concept where they dig into who are the toys for nowadays, right? And who's buying which ones, and they do talk about Black Series, they talk about the vintage series, they talk about all the different series, but what's interesting that they point out is it's all characters that we know, right? It's all the main characters. You don't see Claude. Well, you don't see many at all. From what the interesting part about the article thing that pulled me in was the comment that they made at the beginning, where they said not only was the Rise of Skywalker the end of the Skywalker saga, but it was also the end of the Star Wars marketing machine as we had seen it. And it was the first Star Wars movie that didn't really have its own line of Star Wars toys. But the point that the article makes is that now the toys are they're not made for kids, right? I mean, I go through it all the time, and I hate to admit it, but it's 100% true. My Black Series figures, my 8-year-old son comes in and he sees them and he's like, "Oh, Daddy, I want to take this one out." And I'm like, we're not going to take that one out of the box. For Christmas, I got him a couple because they're kind of cool and they're really high details, but they're not made for playing in the sandbox, right? Which is the toys that we had when we were kids. I think the other thing that the article doesn't really go into, but I think is true, is kids play very differently than they used to as well, right? So, I mean, yeah, my son will play with his action figures, but he'd rather spend time playing Fortnite or Jedi Fallen Order than he would, flying a Millennium Falcon around the living room. So, but it's interesting because they are right in that the toys, the collectibles. I mean, look at it. Are you, when you were a kid, would you have killed for a Stormtrooper helmet, but it would have been $120, right? And that was completely out of reach. That was not for kids. That was I mean, these things on my shelf, these aren't they're not designed for kids. The best quote in the article, though, is adult toy collectors have more money and about the same impulse control as children, which is 100% correct. I mean, but so what's your thoughts, Andy, on where we are with toys? Because we were saying at the beginning, like those dark sabers, when they first hit, they were hard to get the first couple weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you go into Walmart and they're 6-7 deep on the hook. But why do you think that is?
Well, I have a couple thoughts here. The reason why I started collecting was just to have the cool stuff from when I was a kid, that I couldn't have. Excuse me. And so that was, selfish motivation, but whatever. I mean, whatever. If you collect anything, it's partly selfish, partly to, create an atmosphere of comfort in your own dwelling, So you surround yourself with things you love. We say that all the time. But the toys, if you look at toys from when we were kids, they are a lot different than toys nowadays. They're a lot more articulated. They're a lot more detailed. There's more. Some might even say they're a little cheaper now too. So, along some lines, they are. I don't disagree. But when we were kids, we had the 5-point articulation figures. Shoulders, hips, and neck.
Yep.
And a gun or an accessory. And now, you buy a BlackSeries and there's maybe 2 or 3 accessories. There's 24 points of articulation or something like that. And it's just, they're made. Some things are way better than they used to be, but I don't think kids care. I don't think kids care that much. I think a kid, like if you were to give me a 6-inch BlackSeries when I was 6, I would have played the heck out of it, and I would have lost the accessories, and they would have been buried in a mud puddle out in my front yard. And, just like all of my other G.I. Joe and Star Wars stuff was too. I would have loved it because it's a lot more lifelike looking than the 3 3/4-inch figures. But now the 3 3/4-inch figures are just mini BlackSeries versions. They're so, and so tell me what you think about this idea. When we who see how cool these things are now think back to when we were kids, we don't want to take them out and damage them and play with them, knowing that they're so much cooler now, like a vintage collection 3 3/4-inch Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi, has the same look and feel as the original, but it can do so much more. And because you remember how it was then and you see it now, it's like, no, I'm going to keep that on a card. And so, yes, we're the ones with the money that we're spending, not the grade school kids, obviously. And what we are doing now, we're throwing our own grade school memories on these things that are coming out now and preserving them because of how we felt about our kids or our toys when we were kids. Like we're projecting on that a little bit. That may not be the case, but I just was kind of thinking like, well, why else would adults be more into toys than kids? And that's what they allege, but I don't necessarily agree with that. I just don't think that. I think there's more collectors now than there's ever been. And so toy companies like Kenner, Hasbro, whoever else is making Star Wars stuff has to also not only think about kids, but think about adults as well, so that it covers the full range.
I don't disagree. I think Frammy put it up there, and I liked it, which was something about kids aren't as analog with their toys as we used to be, right? They're super digital. There is a ton of information coming at them, entertainment coming at them via either mom's cell phone or the cell phone you bought them or the iPod you bought them that gives them all the same features without the calling. I mean, that's the deal. My girls, now I have girls, so I almost wanted to ask Pete, like, okay, you've got a boy. From a Star Wars perspective, let's be honest, that's more of a boy's toy, at least with the things that they put out there. I know that we made, great inroads with Rey and for the girls to want to play with that, and by all means, please do. Ahsoka, it's amazing stuff. But honestly, it's a male predominant category. Yep. So I would almost ask, like, did your boy ask you for Star Wars toys, or did he ask you for a Star Wars video game? I mean, I think that's what we're kind of comparing right now.
What's interesting is he's kind of in the camp of both. Like, he'll play the video game, but it's really fun to watch him. I do, I've given in on a couple of the BlackSeries because he just loves them, and he should. I mean, that's why I have them on the shelf. I'm looking at them and I'm like, wow, that's a really cool looking stormtrooper. And eventually it just makes sense to let him play with it. And it is weird because the collector brain is like, oh, no, don't lose that gun, and don't take the the backpack off because you're never going to see it again. But it's so worth it when I see him, because his brain is in a different place than ours. Like we got the Christmas train going around the tree, and who's on that Christmas train? Well, we have Commander Gree, we have Boba Fett, we have Venom, and we have the Elf on the Shelf, and they're all playing together and fighting each other and going around the tree. But you know what? He is having
That makes me happy.
so much more fun. It's so great to see, right? And that's the fun, and that's what it should be. And that's why sometimes I look at these boxed. But what the hell am I going to do with a boxed Zeb? Right? It's going to sit there forever until he's too old to care about it, and then he's going to keep it in the box. And I don't know. So it's a quandary because I want him to have fun with it, and like I said, I mean, Santa's going to be bringing him a couple of BlackSeries figures this year, and I'm just going to have to sit there and know that the gun will be gone or eaten by the dog by 12
Yeah,
o'clock.
well, you just have to accept it. I mean, think about the major quandary here, though. The major quandary that's so much different between when we were kids is you've got this. We're in a weird spot from a retail perspective. You've got this overlay of online ordering and in-store shopping. Well, by the way, the number one toy provider from a brick and mortar retail standpoint was Toys R Us. It's gone. So there's and then Walmart maybe could have been like the backup to that. Like, okay, Walmart can bring in the massive volume that it might take to kind of compete with the Toys R Us, but they haven't. Target could be included in there. So from a window shopping, from a Sears catalog perspective, we don't have that any longer. Kids don't have that any longer.
Right.
Kids have online, which they're getting a ton of. It's fine. They got their online YouTube, all that. If they're watching any shows on there, they're getting pummeled with advertisements. But the way kids look at toys and how they are part of their lives is completely different than ours. Ours were, they're the only thing that kept us alive in between regular scheduled programming. Now that doesn't exist. Regular scheduled programming is whenever you turn it on.
You can watch whatever, whenever.
Boom, boom, boom. So toys are almost a convenience for whenever I get tired of all the stuff that's being thrown in my face. So Framey said it right. It's less analog than we were kids. And so the next statement that's correct is, a lot of these collectibles, toys are targeted at us. We're the ones that have that mindset that won't take them out of the box. We'll buy two, right?
Right. Well, one of the questions I asked, I was talking with one of my guests on the show at one point. We were talking about why Star Wars has bred collectability so much, and I think it's this desire to own something from that universe, right? To have the physical manifestation of something that you've seen on the screen, and that's what I see with Jack, my son, and the ones that he's attracted to. He doesn't care about Poe or Finn or Rey BlackSeries figures. He doesn't care about those. He loves anything with armor, anything that looks cool, and then he doesn't. They don't go on adventures. They blast the hell out of each other, right? He recreates Clone Wars battles in the living room. But what's also interesting is I think the other big difference in toys, and you were saying it with the screens, and to me it's a big difference. Like, we had video games, they were crap, but you could only play them on the television, right? And up until 5 years ago,
right,
the only time you could play a video game was if you were at home, and then you would take your action figures with you to grandma's or wherever you were going.
Yep.
And that you'd entertain
that
yourself.
held you over. That literally was like your what do they call that?
Yeah, because there's only
placebo.
there was only 3 channels
to get you back to the drug. That's what it was.
Yeah, there were only 3 channels you could watch anyway, and one of them was public access, and the other one, Grandma had Lawrence Welk show on.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I love Pete pointing out that, like, the TV, dude, you had to kick your dad or your grandpa off the TV to get your video game on, and that was not happening during regular business hours. And those are from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. You weren't kicking anybody off that TV. They're like, oh no, here's your stupid toys. You go play with those. You're like, I just want to play Zelda, and they're like, no, get out of here.
And I will say, as the father of an 8-year-old who has all the toys that I wish I had, from Legos to video games to Star Wars toys, he will literally say, "Oh, there's nothing to do," and I'm like, "Oh my god, if I was 8, I would be in the basement right now. I would have built a Lego fortress for all these action figures that I have." But it's a completely different mindset. There's a different entertainment value, which, to bring it back to the original point of the question, these toys are made for us because it truly is collecting, and it's reconnecting, and it'll be interesting to see where this goes in 20 years, right? Where the next generation will go. What will Jack look back on and want to collect? Like you guys said, you collect because you wanted that piece of your past. What's the piece of his past that he's going to be looking for?
Pete, let's go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, this is anecdotally. So I have a 4, 7, and 13-year-old, and the 13-year-old hasn't ever really, he enjoys Star Wars. We watch Mandalorian together. He's really into that. And we've seen the movies together, all that. He loves the animated series. He's never really been into figures. BlackSeries, vintage collection, vintage. I've tried to give him some vintage ones in the past. And like he kept the Boba Fett and Chewie and Luke, but he really couldn't be bothered with Ewoks or C-3PO or Nikto or just like he's not a figure guy. He loves the Legos though.
Right.
He is all in on Legos. And today he sent me a text that said, "How about that dark saber for my birthday?" And it was the first time he's ever asked for a Star Wars specific item. He'll take Legos of any kind. He loves the Star Wars Legos. I know that, but it's the first time, and it happened today, that he's asked for a Star Wars specific item for a Christmas or birthday gift. And I hope he's not watching, but he's getting it.
All right. All right. So we've gone, I can't believe we've gone this far past our normally scheduled time. There's so much to talk about. And what's great is we didn't even talk the finale, which kind of spurned all of this, which I don't think we should.
Yeah, I think we're the only live stream that isn't. So that's good. We're
just talking toys. I don't think we should. I think we talked about it a lot last week. I'm still just kind of getting into it. And the only thing I'll say about last week's show that makes me so happy and excited is I think it is the continuation of a rich and happy and plentiful, and you can choose what you want, a collectible experience for all of us, and that's why we're here. I think we're going to see toys from areas and genres of toy, that are just going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. I think we have Mando Mondays for a long time, and that gives me a lot of hope, and it makes me excited. Of course, we're not going to buy everything, but man, if you would have gone back even 5 years ago, if you go back 10 years ago, this wasn't an option for us. Our options were the select kind of sites we didn't know about, which are now, thank God, because they're so good, like Entertainment Earth and Zam. I always say Zammy or
Zavi.
Zavi, and Amazon and Target, who got on board, and GameStop, who got on board, that are providing us with these avenues to buy awesome collectibles, to share them with each other. I've got more in boxes down here. As a matter of fact, I'm doing the first time ever on Holo Chronicles. We're going to end the show, and then I'm going to stay on. I'm going to open these other 2 boxes. So if you want to hang out, but I'm cutting it. Like I'm clipping the show on YouTube. Over. The show's over on YouTube. I'm going to clip the show on YouTube. It'll end with our end screen. This will be a little after hours. And I'm just going to chill, and we're just going to open a box together. I'm not going to have my radio voice, because this is actually how I sound. No, I'm just kidding. No, but hold on. Before we go, there you go. Thank you.
Hey,
Sam, thank you so
just
much,
a shout out to Sam here. Thank you so much, bud. We appreciate. This is why we do it, for guys like you, man. I appreciate everybody that stuck with us in the chat tonight and listening on the rewind. Josh, Pete, we really need to appreciate right now as Star Wars fans, because whether we've been able to pre-order or find things in the wild or buy on eBay, secondary markets, this is a fantastic time to be a Star Wars fan. And I want you to think right now at how unique this is, given our recent past, that everybody is back on board. We're all back on board with Star Wars. The dissension that we've had over the last 5-6 years, it's really like we're really trying to find things to nitpick about in The Mandalorian, which is incredible, right? We're really we're like, I don't know about this anime idea in the future.
Early.
Like we're really, really nitpicking about small things. Right now, there's no major gap. There's no divide that you're one side or the other. And if you are, it's because you're trying to pick something up that we talked about 4 years ago, And so right now is such an awesome time to be a Star Wars fan. We are back together. It is 1980 once again in the fandom. And I'm super excited about where we go next because there is something for everybody. And if you don't like it, move along. You'll find something else.
My Little Pony has a reboot coming. Pete,
I'm going to start a podcast on that.
Yeah, why not? I mean, let's get on a track where nobody's listening. Pete, where can everyone find you? Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me, guys. This was a ton of fun.
The Pony Pod.
You can look for me on at My Little Pony Pete. You can find me on Twitter at
I'm buying that domain right now.
At ATGcast. That's the best place to find me. I'm usually rambling about something Star Wars related and telling you about my show, and of course around the galaxy. We're going live. We're going to do the next couple. Start making them live events. So if you're here on Mondays and you don't have anything to do on Tuesdays, come on over. We have tomorrow night. We have Adam Frazier from Slash Film. He's going to be joining us, and you just saw his collection on your guys' show recently.
Yes, you did.
And you're going live with that guy? So you're saying the people in our chat right now could hop over tomorrow, hop in and ask Adam Frazier from Slash Films questions.
Yes, you can. We're gonna do. We'll start with getting to know his little Star Wars story, but I want to dig in with him. He's got some ideas as to what we're gonna see in the Acolyte and where the Boba Fett series is gonna go. So I want to get his perspective on that. So we'll have a lot of fun with that. But thank you for having me, guys. This is fun. This was
a good time.
Really great.
It's a good time. It's always good to have Pete on.
Always. And then don't forget to stick around if you want to see Josh open up some things.
Yeah, we're doing an after hours, according to Matt. That's what he called it, after hours.
Thank you for tuning in to the Holo Chronicles podcast, episode 62, the final Mando Monday. Josh, go ahead and take us out of here.
We'll see you in a minute. All right. Even Pete, did Pete kick himself out? Bye, Pete. We love you. Thanks for joining. Okay, this is after the cut. We'll call it.
I brought my popcorn.
So hold on. We'll let you guys in on this one. We'll let you in if you're still in the chat. Andy, how do you think the show went?
A little longer than usual, but we had stuff to talk about today, Get one in before Christmas.
I love having Fletz in too. He's got so much knowledge. I'm going to pour another little drinky poo, if you don't mind.
Do you have any idea? No, it's just your it's home style Pop Secret.
I have an idea. I just want you, Andy, to appreciate. I mean, look at this guy. He's so handsome.
Yeah, this is why I got deal.
And if you mural them up. Actually, Andy, I love this so much about this after hours idea because I don't give a crap what these people think about what we're doing right now.
No, we're going full two-med.
I do love these people. Yeah, we're going full two-med here. So obviously these don't match up, but I did want to set them side by side because we have a Death Star and we have a home one, so they don't really match. But look, that's cool. What I'm excited about. That's what I'm excited about. All right. So yes, after my admission to Shabby that I was done, and then my readmission that I wasn't done, I went on a spree a personal spree. Now I thought that the big box it was going to open would actually have like 2 in them, but it only had Akbar, who deserves as large a box as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine every time you put Akbar in a box, he's like, "It's a trap," and he's like, "Just sir, you're fine. You're going to a good home. It's a trap." And then you
So every time you put him in the box, he flies out the window.
Right. Hey.
Hey, whoa.
Too soon. All right. So here's box number dose.
I think earlier Framey commented that the Juggernaut would be a good HasLab project.
I saw that. I thought that was a great idea. Those are pretty bad, eh?
Except that the one they were on didn't blow up.
Well, what a jerk. You're still sore about the crest, huh?
I miss it.
Okay, I got this guy just because I wanted to. Isn't that the...
I think that's
him. I got him.
Oh, yeah, baby.
He's just straight up Clone Trooper red, but I really liked where it was going with him. So
I love the clone boxes, or the clone troopers and their boxes.
if you're just joining us for some stupid reason, we went for 1 hour and 20, and now this is just after the show where Andy and I talk, he eats popcorn, and you guys get to be in the room. But I just got that. All right,
that's cool.
I like it. Here's what I like what they're doing. They're doing the old, drop a couple in this, in this series, drop a couple in that series. You can't be done collecting if the box ain't green. All right, last box.
Yeah, Shabby, I will be watching the Palaboys Christmas special tomorrow. You can bet on it.
Oh, what time tomorrow?
They're on at noon for us.
Oh, we'll be there. I think I'll be there. If you guys that hung around for the after show, make sure you follow. How do they follow Mandy? It's not Palaboys, though. It's Blue Harvest.
Well, Mark is Blue Harvest Toys.
Right.
Vintage Toys on YouTube.
Yeah.
And on Twitter, too.
Okay, this is why I'm pumped. Oh, because I might be able to connect. I mean, why wouldn't they stand right next to each other? No, maybe not. No, doesn't look right. No, maybe this way. Oh, yeah. This way is how it goes. I got, I'm sure Shabby already did a video on this too. Jerk. I got Luke, Endor Luke. So that's what almost flipped me over on this was, no, maybe they're not. Oh, no, they are. So Leia and Luke are next to each other in this mural. They fit perfectly. That's why she's glowing green on her right side, I suppose. Yeah. So there you go. I got 4.
Brandon, what's ASMR mean? I don't know. I just pulled it up. Brandon posted it, and I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
tell me.
and Galactic Curator says it right. The artwork was after show. What happened with these was I went in to do all my pre-orders, and they're like, hey, if you order some stuff we have in stock, then you'll save on shipping. So then I ordered some stuff in stock. So I knew these were coming. These were only 3 days out from my order. But the other pre-order stuff, that's when I'll be like, I don't know what this is, and then I'll open it up for you guys. All right. Andrew, there you go. So that was an after hours open. We have 3 additional BlackSeries, which I'm over the moon on for Endor, Luke, and Leia. I really like those. I'm happy. Like, I haven't even looked at the sculpt yet. I mean, Leia looks great. She's fine. It's great. It's great. And Luke, let me look at the sculpt on Luke. I did look at Akbar. He looks good too. Luke. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Shabby. All right.
It's been cool, Dash, getting into Star Wars a little bit now. He's 13. He had a fan theory that for the wrong reasons came true. because he said as soon as we started thinking about who Grogu could have reached out to, he was like, it's got to be Luke, right? It's got to be Luke. And then when the X-wing flew across the bow, he was like, I knew it.
No, he did that while we were live. That was a great call for him. So
that was so good. And now he wants a dark saber, and so he's getting into it. And now it's moving from Dad's nerdy little's hobby to I kind of like it, you know. So
how do you feel? Like, do you think we're too deep with our thoughts? No, that's what I'm saying. And I'm no offense to your kid, because it was actually a great poll. I don't know that poll, but like when you're like, okay, let's look at all the signs, and your 13-year-old can read them like tea leaves, and we're like, I don't know, is it Ezra? I mean, are we overthinking, or were they always there?
We're overthinking for sure. You and I, definitely. Because we're too into the weeds, man.
Yeah.
We're too into it.
Well, just because we live in Washington State doesn't mean we're too into the weeds.
But
it's free here. They just give it to you when you walk out on the street.
Yeah, you're just like you sneeze and people are like, here, man.
Oh, bless you. Bless you.
No, Luke always made the most sense, but and we talked about this on Friday, Luke also brings the most apprehension, because don't screw up my Luke Skywalker, because that is personal to a lot of people. And so, like, for me, I considered that it could be Luke, but never for very long, because I don't want to make my predictions an expectation, right? Because we don't want to do that. You'll be disappointed every time.
Always disappointed.
Secondly, if they're going to bring Luke back and they don't do it right, then it's going to take a very solid 2 seasons of Mandalorian and put a stain on it. And it's going to put a stain on Luke, which many people feel already exists from the sequels. And I'm not saying I even agree with that, but I'm just saying there are people out there who would rather not have had Luke join it because they were afraid.
Scared.
If you give them the option ahead of time, say, well, we could have Luke, but you don't know what they're going to do with him.
For that, I'd raise my hand.
Or we could have somebody else like Cal Kestis, who's lesser known but more a deep cut, and he would be like more new to everybody. You know, so
well, they'd go with their whole like, we want to give a new Star Wars to the people, which I never agreed with. You want to give a newer Star Wars. I think anything you put out is new, you assholes.
But I think people would still choose Cal because they were afraid that Luke might not come out.
They choose Cal because they just ran him around a screen like you didn't. But I spent a lot of time with Cal. Cal and I. Plus, and the time I spent with the actor on Shameless. I mean, like, Cal was like I don't know. He's a very good character, but let me take that back. I saw Luke coming, but I never expected they'd do it. I thought Ezra was an easier take there. I thought my money would have been on Ezra. If you gave me the poll, if you did, in hindsight, it's easier, but if you did Luke, Ezra, Ahsoka, I'd be like, why would they spend all the time with Ahsoka? He was just sitting with Ahsoka. So why would Ahsoka come back? Because like, oh, never mind, I've changed my mind. We touched foreheads, and now I changed my mind. So Ahsoka was never coming back. It didn't make sense.
That didn't make sense to me either.
Mace was in there. I don't know about Mace, but
bit of fun.
I don't know. It would have been fun. It almost was look, Mace was in my mind, maybe even more likely than Luke. But then when you take the timeline, you go, man, Luke is so likely. Like, what the hell is he doing? He didn't go hermit up on that island for a while.
Here's why I think Mace would have been even easier to do, because he is an appropriate age, and you wouldn't have had to CGI him. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson, happy birthday, by the way, Samuel L. Jackson today.
How old is he with 2 eyes?
I don't know. I don't know how old he is, but he looks great. And he could have played himself as is without any touching up or, obviously some makeup and some charred bits. But but he could have actually done it as himself. Whereas, you get a stunt double with some face swapping technology, some deep faking with Luke and his voice alteration. And
so, do you wish it was Mace over? Like, would you have rather seen a Mace over a Luke?
No, never. But I would rather have a Mace than I would be okay with bad Mace over bad Luke. You know what I mean?
Jackson,
if it was
72, that guy's immortal.
Sorry. So I am absolutely over the moon with how Luke came out and how it played out, what he did, how he did it.
They didn't make a misstep?
I don't think they did at all. I am not bothered by the CGI. The mouth always is just a little tough to line up, and I know that,
hey,
but I don't care.
If you're still here at Hollow Chronicles After Hour, just make sure you know that Andy's looking at your mouth when you talk.
On the CGI.
He's logging that in. He's like, no. In case you get deep faked, Andy would be like, that's not my friend Framey or Matt. Look at his mouth.
Yeah, it's not.
From what I can tell from his profile picture, that does not look accurate.
So
all right.
I thought Luke was perfect, and they brought in a single X-wing. You don't bring in single X-wings, all right?
That was a good take. That was a great poll.
So, yeah, and I spent a little bit of time this morning watching reactions to Luke coming in, right? And they're great, by the way. And there were a lot of people that saw the X-wing, saw the hooded figure, saw the lightsaber green, and they were still like, "No way, is it really? Is that?" And then weren't convinced until he pulled the hood off, right? But then there were those who were like, X-wing, oh my gosh, it's Luke Skywalker, and they just knew it, I saw blue on the R2 unit, that was Luke, and same with Dash.
Via the X-wing through the viewfinder? No, they didn't.
Yes.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They're liars.
Were reactions to that. So, but even Dash was like, X-wing, I knew it, and he was convinced the moment he saw the X-wing, and so
he was
I
on
love
top of us for sure.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm so glad they did it the way they did it. I'm so glad they left it where they left it and ended the show and the season the way they did. It was I don't think you can top how they did that.
Two. No, there's not a better season 2 ending because, well, I'll tell you what they did. The season 1 ending, in hindsight, was it wasn't epic. It was Moff Gideon cutting himself out of a TIE fighter. It was them getting out of a weird situation. Like we've been through a few of the Mandalorian's kind of quirks. There's a few quirks. Here's one quirk. There's always the well then, I'll give you 24 hours to figure it out. Which is okay, gee, many Chris. I mean, Moff Gideon has the cantina surrounded with death troopers and E-webs and TIE fighters galore. He's like,
yeah, instead of
tonight to cut the grate off of the sewer trap. You're just like, oh, come on. I mean, which by the way,
this? You got 10 seconds, so you're torched.
I think. By the way, you go back and watch some Walker Texas Ranger, and we're going to actually see some similar plot lines, but those are quirky. And the only thing I love and also hate about those is they draw you back to the fact that you're watching a series that has to have its own governors on it. That's a governor that pulls it back to look, we got to squeeze this all in. If this was a movie, this would be a part of the plot, a part of an act that we would then have to complete in the next act. So they pull it back a little. We'll give you a conclusion to this episode. However, we'll leave you with the blah, blah, blah. So that's one quirk. The other quirk is lots of hallways. And I never said this to you, and you and I haven't talked other than the night we watched it, but I was near, because I'm Mr. Positive, just like we had Neil in here. Wasn't that fun? Mm-hmm. Was that Neil Positivity? Was that Neil Positivity?
Yeah.
I don't know that we've had Neil in before, which is, to me, that's like a milestone for Hollow Chronicles to me, right?
Well, it is 4 a.m. for him.
No, I thought that was cool.
For
like
anybody
that guy
in the UK.
calls out people every day. He spends the time every day. I was actually honored to have Neil in. Anyway, remember, there's no one watching, Andy. It's just me and you after hours right now. So
there's not 18 people watching right now.
There's not 18 people. There's 18 people, but we love you.
Yes.
No, what was I saying? 17. Yeah, we just lost one. Sorry, Neil. See you, buddy.
Did you know that the Vader hallway scene and the Luke hallway scene mirrored each other in reverse? No. So where it started with Vader and the lightsaber and the smoke, it ended with Luke and the lightsaber and the smoke. And if you run them back, there's some reverse parallel there. Isn't that cool?
We're not smart enough to be doing. Why are we doing this? There are people far smarter than us that are doing. Have them in the chat. Just take notes, guys. You can make your own pod far better. Really? Timing and everything?
I don't know if it's the same length, but but it's even like near the beginning, like Vader does this thing and snatches all the weapons out of the four guys.
And then Luke does that to the
end. He does that and crunches the. So I mean, there's some. There was a Twitter post where they ran them both at the same time, and he said, "Just watch this a few times, and you'll see
Matt
that."
Says he shared a GIF on Twitter, so maybe that's.
So
maybe some Matt's. All right. Well, good show. Yeah. Thank you to everyone that stayed for the after hours. I just wanted to open those boxes with Andy because these are the moments we enjoy. This is actually a really good box.
So, Josh,
can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Well, my mic's been doing weird things. It's like this happened during the show.
Mm-hmm.
It kicks you over to my. I think I might need to shut down my. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't hear you. It's so weird. I can hear. I mean, I can hear you. I can't hear you through my headphones. I can hear you through the. So this is technical time with Josh and Andy. I think my mixer must be overheating or something. Nothing's meant to be on all the time, I suppose.
Well, we're almost 2 hours.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, I'm good.
Thank you. Hold on a sec. Nick asked, did anyone go from being kind of annoyed with the Goranson music to being fully in the tank for it now?
With what music?
The Ludwig Göransson, who did the music for Mandalorian. No, to answer your question, Nick, I was never annoyed by season one. I thought there were some good parts, some unique things that I had not really heard before, like even the theme with the big fluty thing. But I love season two because it got a little more techno, a little more synth, a little more funky, a little bit. So there were moments like I loved the Sand People when they walked in, they rode into town in that single file line, and it was very like John Williams epic and sounded very cool. And then a couple episodes ago, when Boba Fett walked down in the Bill Burr episode, when he walks out of the Slave One, it was kind of like a little Trent Reznor-y, a little I want to say, but I thought it just got better this season. I wasn't annoyed.
Help me. I broke apart my insides. All right, we got to go. My audio's dying over here for some reason, so all I want for Christmas is to have equipment that stays up. Jiminy Christmas. All right, thanks for staying here after hours, Andy, with me, where we get to open. And we joined 17 to 12 of our best friends, which was fun. We're still live. We faked it out. I think I'm really going to go back and cut all this out, by the way.
Okay.
But, whatever. porn music from Chaos and Comics. We get it. We know what that is. We know what it is. All right. Bye, Andy. I love you. Have a good night.
Hey, it's good to see you. Glad you're back. And hey, all you guys out there, have a Merry Christmas.
Have a damn Merry Christmas. Wait.